My name is Olive from EY France. I work in risk consulting, and I'm very interested in ethical perspective of technologies. So today agenda, we will be talking about ethics. We will be talking about the agents and definitions. Who is here developing AI agents? Somebody is you. Okay. Who is using AI assistants? Amazing. Who is using AI agents? Oh, not bad. Amazing. So also we will deep dive a bit on the tech side, but not too much, not to overview. And we will be talking also about the risk, the emerging risk of AI agents. So we've been through the major waves of change before. Mobile, cloud, social media, recently generative AI outbreak. But now the narrative is changed and we are living in the era of agentic AI agents. How this is different from what we were through before. So, because AI agents and their level of autonomy is something we never experienced before. They're not just responding to our requests. They're not just task specific. They can act by their own and they can interact with each other. With these biggest opportunities comes the risk as well. But the core question I want to ask you, and this will be a bit philosophical as well, are we sure we embed our human values inside those technologies we are developing? And how we can align them with our values? So we saw all these headlines before. AI agents are everywhere, and from Microsoft to Salesforce and others, NVIDIA, they not only experimenting with agentic AI, they are already implementing it into their operations. So there is a lot of business opportunities. Automating complex tasks, adaptive decision-making, enhancing customer engagement, optimizing resource allocation, complex problem solving. All this can enhance our productivity, improve our efficiency, and also create for us a space for more creativity maybe. At the same time, a bit of case studies. For example, in cybersecurity agents can detect suspicious patterns and analyze huge amount of data more than human agents can, and detect some suspicious behavior in those data and prevent the fraud even before they occur. In trading and research, the same. The huge amount of data being analyzed, so there's a huge amount of predictivity and with very high accuracy. In HR, there is a lot of cases as well. We are in Europe, so we have AI Act, and basically when we analyze the emotions in this video, to understand if this is a good candidate for the specific role or not, we are in high risk. And this is a very interesting case, but it requires also be very attentive how we delegate those kind of decisions and which kind of decisions we can never delegate actually. This is why when it comes to ethics, 80% of business leaders, according to the data of IBM, already have concerns about ethics of AI and like now with agentic AI regarding explainability, bias, and trust. Explainability, like trust, fairness, accountability, those are human values. And we ourselves are not even always can act like this, so we need to also make sure we align and we embed those values into the systems we create. So let's talk ethics. Fundamentally, from the philosophical perspective, ethics is a part of moral philosophy, which answers us and question what is good, what is bad, what is just, what is unjust, how we can live a good life in the era of technologies, how we can be good digital citizens. So here with AI agents, it's a bit more complex because usually the assessment we make is mostly focused on technical part of it. We are good on make an assessment of cybersecurity, even like you cannot completely devise the system, but we can make our best to do this. Because even from the human perspective, what is fair? It's a very complex question. We can find, I guess, misinformation, hallucination. We know even the LLMs can hallucinate. We can do nothing about that, which is why human oversight and validation of human output is critical. We always have the privacy concerns and also transparency issues. But beyond that, these agents, we need to also take into account the social impact of those technologies because the level of autonomy is huge, and we need to take into account the long-term impact, such as, for example, what will be the outcome of the over-dependency on those agents, for example, what will be impact on the workers and the people who will lose their job. My perspective is that it will transform them to the jobs and to really be competent and always involved and always enhancing your skills will save you from losing the job. But we need also to be as much as competitive as we can. What about anthropomorphism, for example? Now, if you talk with an LLM, and for example, you miss your flight, and the LLM is telling you, oh, I'm so sorry you missed your flight, but at the same time, you are not here for that. You want to make, you need to solve the problem. And this kind of fake empathy create a lot of confusion. So we cannot embed the empathy inside the system because it cannot be empathetical. It cannot be a moral decision maker. It cannot be a moral agent. So, which is why it's very important to create a comprehensive social technical assessment for the agents. So, but when we say we need to align the technologies with human values, what kind of values we are talking about? Because even us human beings, we cannot agree on what is ethical for us. You and me, we can have different values. And for example, an agent, when I make a request and you make a request, it can take a part of some of us. But what will be ethical in this part? Like, should the agent prefer human preferences and of the specific user, or should it evaluate the social norms or democratic values, or more broadly, long-term well-being of the planet, for example? Very difficult question. We have no answer to that. And here we are quoting John Stuart Mill saying, like, the word of state in the long run, in the word of the individual composing it, which is taking us back to the personal responsibility on how we develop, deploy, and use the AI and AI agents. So the question is, like, how we embed this wisdom of different ethical perspective, because ethics is very culturally sensitive. In Eastern philosophy or in Europe, it's not the same. In the US, it's not the same, very market focused. But also it changes over time. Because when, for example, John Locke wrote about in the Bill of Rights that all human beings are created equal, at that time he meant only white men, not only this. So this time our values are changing. So we need to be always on this wave to understand ourselves and also to embed those values into the technologies. There is a framework called HHA, Helpful, Honest, Earnest, can be used for LLMs, but we argue it's actually very problematic for agents because first of all, helpful is like how we embed efficiency, honesty, trustworthy, and harmless, like avoiding harm. But there is limitations, such as, for example, there is no social impact, like broader view of social impact, or like the view how we can manage inter-agents conflicts, or more complex trade-offs such as honesty versus privacy issues. And privacy is a huge issue actually for agents, because imagine we stole all those layers of data sensitivity in the company, like private information, very sensitive information, or like public information, very complex to actually make the agent understand how to get the good information and not to take into account another information when they interact with each other. It becomes a bit out of control. So many things can go wrong with agents, and we need to take it from the risk perspective. So let's deep dive a bit. I will not take like a lot of time on this, but basically just to understand why actually the agents are very different from assistants such as Alexa, Siri, Cortana, which was very task specific and basically dependent on our own inputs. We were like requesting something, and the assistant was making us this specific task. So this is a task specific, and human was in the center of this interaction. With AI agent, this is already, we are talking about autonomy. The agent can perform by itself, make decisions autonomously by itself. Agentic AI, this is a bit complex. It's highly autonomous. It can interact with other agents. It's capable to create long-term plans strategically. There is no definition of AI agents. Commonly, like for example, the definition of AI system from AI Act developed by OECD of AI system. This agentic AI is very new, so there is a definition of OpenAI. It's an application consisting of a model with instructions that guide its behavior, access to tools that extend its capabilities, encapsulated in a runtime with a dynamic lifecycle. Very complicated one, I like to say. So this is from MIT research. They actually what can we make? What can we name agentic AI? Is basically first question is this is more complex than GPT for all. If yes, like you go further. It's so here a bit more granularly about agentic AI, AI agents and agentic AI. If we have one model, it can be basic or multiple tools. This is AI agent. If we're talking about multiple models, composite systems, like it's agentic AI. It can be personal agent, role agent, task agent, and process agent, like regarding the type of the agent. So, and a bit of like deep dive into the architecture, just to show you like this is very complex. This is like one agent, many things going on. When we go to risk, like here it's a bit confusing, but you have like on many layers on that. You can many things like which can go wrong. Resource overload, cascading hallucination attack, agent communication poisoning, like many stuff on every single step of this, things can go wrong. Imagine, and this is one single agent. And now we go to the multi-agents. So this part only was, and to be compliant to AI Act, you know, AI Act is talking about AI systems. This is a very small part of this. So it makes us a lot of work as risk consultant. Then we come to risk and mitigations. So what next? How we can prepare to be safe in this multi-layered complexity, navigating the uncertainty. So first is preparing the data for AI. Good quality data will mean like mostly good output, and this means also collaboration with data experts. The second part is balancing autonomy, data access, and oversight for self-adoption. And first, we can test on something small, and begin with low-risk agentic AI applications and embed human oversight when it's possible. Then optimizing workflows, so agentic AI interaction, and managing AI risk and governance. Like this is complex even for simply AI. Embed like AI governance into AI systems in the simple because comparing to agentic AI it will be simple. Here we need to start to think how to do this. And what we can measure, we can evaluate, and we can mitigate. This is why all these agentic AI capabilities need to be measured. And how do we measure it? Like there are 3 layers of evaluation. First is we measure AI capabilities. Is basically measuring outputs and function of the AI system and its components. For example, that training data. And who is responsible for that is AI developers, and for example, it can be third-party auditors who will detect some issues in the AI systems. So, and here we measure our accuracy, robustness, and output safety, technical stuff mostly. Second layer is the user layer. Why this is important? Because in this level, we cannot evaluate the human-AI interaction, the manipulation of user, the well-being of user, and anthropomorphism issues. So here responsible are those who are responsible for AI product. AI product should be evaluating the well-being of a user. So, and the next level is the system level, and this is usually overlooked. So this is something we don't usually take into account because this is about measuring risk of harm through social, environmental, and economic analysis, like the long-term impact of the AI agents. So, and the responsibility is like, of course, companies who are developing it, but the public stakeholders such as OECD, UNESCO, and doing good work on that. But we need to also think how to evaluate it and make a control over this. So path forward will be to expand human-centered testing and combine those quantitative and qualitative methods. And also to take this evaluation as ongoing and not just one time. So if you have questions for so far, happy to answer. But also, in 1 hour we have a workshop with more detailed information on that. You can come to our workshop. Just it will be 2:30. So we will deep dive into this about reliable safe decision making, human control, integration with existing systems, bias and fairness issues, data privacy, and change management. Very important part because at the end of the day, humans who developing, deploying, and interacting every day with those technologies need to be aware and well equipped and skilled to also to understanding the risk and issues. So, and here a bit deep dive into the cybersecurity, because the cybersecurity methods usually we use are not working for agentic AI. Those tactics, like for example, offensive and defensive methods in cybersecurity, and red teaming is the offensive method when we actually try to hack the system before somebody else will do that. So here, usually, things are working for LLMs, it's not working completely for agentic AI. For example, there is no simulation of long-term agent behavior, or like we also need to test cascading failures memory manipulation, and so on. So there is a huge need for a new framework, and for example, this threats and mitigation also agentic AI, cybersecurity suggesting some mitigations, let's say. So as to conclude, AI agents are here. We are already behind. Existing evaluation with networks are not enough to evaluate all the risk and to protect your from everything in Hong. New risks are emerging, and like mitigation measures should be involved as well, including risk and cybersecurity measures. And there is a huge urgent need of social technical assessment. So Winston Churchill was fascinated about technologies and the path development of technologies, but even him was saying like we are going too fast. And I put Anna Arendt here, who is she's a philosopher, and we need to understand how we can use the time we will get from optimizing our routine tasks. We need to be conscious. So thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed, and if you have questions, happy to answer. And also don't forget, in 1 hour we will have a more detailed workshop on that to answer more of your questions.